Again, thanks for, did someone make the lunch? Well, okay, I know someone made it. Thank you, it was really delicious. You could come to my house anytime and cook food that I could eat. Because I don't like to do that at all. Anybody not like to cook, but likes to eat? Yeah, it's me. I don't like to bake, but I really like to bake. Okay, that's not what we're talking about. I would like to talk, I should do a workshop on baked goods, and we should all bring in baked goods, we should all eat them, and then we should go. What's up, what?
Still pay for it.
Yeah, right? I think people would. I don't know how we're going to get that in early childhood and how you get credit for it.
Cooking with children.
Cooking with children. I do that workshop, actually. And I can't cook. I can tell you how to do it. So now we're going to talk about professionalism. Woo! We are in a field that is not considered professional. We try really hard, but what happens? You said it already. We get called babysitters. And when we get called babysitters, you know what I always say? Because I BS everything, right? I talked about that. When someone says, oh, so you're a babysitter? Well, pay me like one, right? Pay me like a babysitter. And I also have a hard time with early childhood educators. I'm a freaking teacher. And someone will say, well, what grade? It's not, there's not a grade. It's just a kid. And he's 2. But just because they're little kids, right? We've even made a new word for what our job is. Early childhood educator. And I'm always like, I'm just a teacher. And when I said I taught kindergarten, where did they assume I taught? Public school. And I didn't say differently at the beginning of, when I first started doing this business, because I was like, that holds higher, right? It's better, so I just let that go. Right? I didn't lie, I just didn't talk my way out of that. And now I'm like, I taught kindergarten in a child care environment, and people go, oh, why are you making that face? Why is it this face? I was still a kindergarten teacher. I was still responsible for 4.5, 5, and 6-year-olds, and I still had to teach them to read. Which is not what I was awesome at. I know my letters, I know the sounds. But that's a pretty ducks in a row methodical thing, yes? I can. I'm really good social emotional. I couldn't ever teach above kindergarten. Social emotional, if there's a social emotional teacher, bam. Then you think like history. There's a guy and he got mad and he hit another guy and then had some movies. There were some wars that had names and some people that had names and I don't know anymore. So when we get called babysitters, in your head now you can be like, pay up. How many kids do you have in your class?
7.
Oh my gosh. 2 teachers though, right?
Yeah, sometimes 4.
Oh, that's wonderful. We're not going to do it for stuff. We're going to do, who's the preschool teacher? We have 10, 15, 30, 16. 15. And each kid is from a separate family. So, 15. How much an hour do you get to babysit? Which one? Oh boy, here's my math skills kids. You can make $300 an hour. But, right? If you're going to call me a babysitter, then you have to pay $20 an hour for me to watch your kid. And I don't have to do any of the academic stuff. I'm going to put them to bed and eat your food and Netflix. Right? Because who babysits sometimes after school? I did. It was the hardest days because I had kids, and now when you're a mom, you're like, oh, that's just like teaching and babysitting. Except you're not by yourself in the car on the way. So $300 an hour, how many hours do you work? 8? Yeah? A day. Now remember, if you have 15 kids, you can't have those by yourself. Right? So really you're making $1,200 a day. Yes. I will do that. So per week, week you work 5 days a week, right? No, that's 0. Really? $12,000 a week, which would mean really $6,000 a week, right? How many people are in? Oh, bring it on, call me a babysitter. Do it. But right, why can't we pay that? Because parents do it when they go out to dinner, it's only 2 or 3 hours at a time. But if you can't pay me like a babysitter, shut your mouth. And don't call me one. Because what am I responsible for? Not only all the stuff as an adult we're responsible for and all the rules they tell us that we have to follow, we also have 15 kids following us around. And 7 infants crying and pooping, crying and pooping, sleeping and pooping. Right? If you're a toddler teacher, you have to plan curriculum and change a diaper and get the kid who get the other one. Like, right? I challenge people, like lawyers, you have an important job, but there are not 15 kids with you. Right? And parents are like, I don't know how you do it. That's a hard job. Yes, I would like $20 an hour times every kid. Right? By the time you get to the end, wait per month. We're going to do the whole way through. It's going to really test my skills. Per week, there's 4 weeks in a month. It's really supposed to be 4.3, but we're not going to. $48,000, which is really $24,000 a month. Currently, that's how much some of us make in a whole year. And then taxes get taken out, and then we have to pay insurance. And then when we go to the doctors, they say, oh, we don't cover that. How many people are that? Yeah. And then 12 months a year. Oh, geez Louise. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm left-handed, as you can tell. I don't ever do anything straight. So together, I can't make that. Whatever that is, half of that. So you make, together you make over $500,000. Sign me up. And then what happens on the parent side? We get a vacation, and what do they say? We have to pay you? Yes! You have to pay me. And I know being on the other side of that, that's hard. To pay when your kid doesn't go there, because then you either have to miss work or pay double. I get it. But we currently make 37 cents an hour. No mass. You make 40 cents an hour. New Hampshire make 37 cents. 40 cents an hour. Oh, stop. So some of the obstacles, we hit the first one. What are the obstacles in this profession that we see? One is financial. That's what I have on there. It says babysitter math. There it is. Wow. Good thing I didn't teach math as a teacher in school. Really big to really small, all important. Then the other one is education versus experience. So in this field, we don't need a lot of education to start taking care of kids. You could be young, you could be right out of high school, you could have 9 credits of early childhood. I think to be by yourself with kids. If you do not have 9, you cannot be by yourself, but you can still work with them. And then there are people who have been in this field forever, and they say what? Right, or I've been here so long, I know what to do. But this one has a bachelor's in education, and you're like, so for me, I think it's even. Experience gets you a lot if you followed up with what is currently cool and relevant in early childhood. If you are still doing sticker charts, if you're still doing traditional circle, you missed the boat a long time ago, right? When did sticker charts and timeouts come out? The 1980s. It is 2018. Stop it. It has been 38 years. If those were going to work, we've given them enough time. They're out. How many people are working on stuff for 38 years and then you're like, Right? You're thinking, oh, I'm going to do that strategy. Would you work 38 years and be like, oh, I'm going to keep going with it. I'm going to keep using that strategy. I think one of these days it's going to just, whoo, it's going to work. No. And it's one thing if you've worked 38 years with your child and you know your child and you know it's going to work, but it hasn't yet and you're giving it time. But if you're using a strategy that doesn't work for any kid ever, stop it. Stop. But then you have these kids who come, I call you kids because now if you're 19 or 20, I could be your mother. So people come in and they're like, I have all this education, and then I worry about the education you get, because when we just talked about the DISC model, someone back there says, I'm going for psychology. I've never even heard of this. That should have been in your first class. And then from there, everything should have been taught through that. Because that is how you're going to make it in this world. So no, I did not know myself. I did not know behavior. I did not know children that well until I learned behavior stuff. And I have a master's in education. I use almost none of it. What do I use all of my behaviors? Almost 100%. Because that is, in child growth and development, we should have gotten that stuff. Except you leave and you're like, okay, I got what? B.F. Skinner, who I would hit with my car pencil. You got Sigmund Freud, who was a crazy person. Granted, he's dead, but he's still a crazy person. And then what? We learned about Piaget. He talks about play. Anybody know anything else? I can spell it. Erickson. Trust versus mistrust. Self-doubt versus autonomy. When any kid is freaked out and peed on the floor or thrown a chair, are you like, oh, Erickson, right, floor, Nobody has ever thought, what would Freud say? B.F. Skinner's the one responsible for conditioning kids. If you're conditioning kids, that's what we do with dogs. Like, bedtime dozer, and my dog will go in his crate, and he will wait for his treat, and we will close him in, and we will say, love you, buddy, we'll be home in a little bit. If I say bedtime to a kid, and they go to bed, and get in bed, and I give them a treat, I would rather you freak out. Then at least I know you're doing it. So we have all this stuff we learn in education, and I'm not sure that education in early childhood is where it needs to be. And then we have people who don't have that much education but have experience, but they're stuck at where their education level started in 1980s or 1970s, some of them. Right? Have you seen it, especially in public schools, because you can make it to tenure, and then you get paid $1 billion to be stupid. You get paid a lot of money, right? And I've worked with so many teachers, and I'm like trying to change them, and they're like, they're just here for tenure. They got 2 more years. They're just waiting it out. No, I feel like you have to leave now, and you don't get any of whatever tenure gives you. You don't get your gumballs or your lunch kids. You're out. You're out. Right? I remember in kindergarten, I had a teacher. Her name was Miss Judy. And I was mad at her because she put me in the corner, time out, and then she made a skeptical of me, and that is not the right way to handle me. And I peed on her when I was the page turner of the book. And the nun in that school retired recently. And she left, and I went to her going away party. And I have a picture of myself in kindergarten with Miss Judy in my eye. And people would responded to it on Facebook and said, oh my gosh, she still works in 4th grade. But all the teachers, all the kids that had her were scared of her big time. Why is she still teaching? Nobody goes, you're good at something. This happens to not be it. Like, go to Walmart or go to data entry, you probably go to web design or coding. I don't even know what that is. Like geometry, I don't know, what are you good at? It's not this. I want to go in there and be like, I peed on you. That should have been a signal of, woo, get out. So know that if you're the experienced teacher, professionally you should have followed how long you've been in the field, and you should be teaching as it's 2018. Already like it's 19. Prince. And then, if you are in the field, know that all the stuff you learned You'll be humbled the day the kid calls you the F word and pees on the floor. And you'll be like, tell me about that. Or they said, hey buddy, come on, you can do it, I'll give you a sticker. That kid's thinking, well, no, I should have peed on her. That would have shut her up. So, let's make sure education and experience, it's a fight in this field. All the time it's a fight. So make sure we know that that is a fight and that you're doing the appropriate things to get to the appropriate places to do the appropriate things with kids. Because of that, because we're fighting about it, because the education in early childhood is sometimes not at its finest, and the people who are experienced in early childhood sometimes are stuck in their ways, we get not professional. And somebody has to stand up and I will be the voice to say, no, stop. Right? I have a friend recently that said, oh, I'm in class in early childhood. And I was like, yes. And she's like, we have to do a Skinnerian box, a Skinner box. Nope. I would have said, no. Unless it was, how ridiculous would this activity be? Do one and see if it, not see if it works, I don't want you testing it, but like, see how ridiculous it is. Oh, I wish he was alive so I could run him over. B.F. Skinner. Messed up my field, because that is where a lot of the behavior strategies come from. They're very Skinnerian. I have the power, and I'm going to do to you what I want done. And then you get the kid, right, with that D temperament, that direct dominant temperament, who is motivated by power. What happens? You're going to get in a power struggle. Who's going to win? Never you. Never win. You're never winning. If you're trying to up their power, you're going to lose 100% of the time. I see it all the time. And the hard thing is, who do we attract to this field? The sweet, sensitive temperament. That is very nurturing. So you get that kid, and what happens? You're like, it doesn't make sense to you because you don't know the pattern. And you're thinking, he's being rude, or he's being a jerk, or his mother does not, whatever, or his parents, or it's the way he was designed. 55% of who you are was from heredity and genetics. 45% is how you take what you got and bring it out to the world. Right? That's why you see my 100%, because you see my heredity and genetics and the personality all follow that line. Which is why you diagnosed me earlier today. It's fine. So, what is another obstacle in this field? Hot buttons. So my hot buttons are whining. I will work almost anything out with you. If you're having a hard time, if you need my help, I will work almost anything out with you. If you whine, it's almost always going to be enough. Because my ears bleed and they hurt and fire comes out. I don't want to listen to you. My son will whine and I just go like this. I turn around and walk away. He's like, Mommy! I want to be with somebody. Then you need to turn that voice off. Right? But do you know what your hot buttons are going to make you repeating my name over and over again? Yes. The little girl that I nannied would tap me. Meg. I'm like, I'll break my finger. I'll break it right off. What other pet? Oh, another pet peeve for me is when you were mad and you were visibly mad and you were trying to keep it under control, right? You think your outsides are doing a lot better than your insides, and the kid goes what? And laughs at you. Because I am almost never over the line of mad, and if I get mad, you've pushed me really far, and if you're laughing, oh, I want to quit my job and eat donuts. Oh, what are other hot buttons? What else? Spitting, that is in early childhood, that is the thing. Everybody hates spitting. Everybody I've ever talked to. Don't put them in the bathroom. Don't use that. And don't give them a cup. That was one I did. Give them a cup. Alright. Then you're teaching them to spit in the cup. And that's gross. So don't put them in the bathroom and don't have them spit in the sink. Right? Why did that? Right? Like, so then they're like, but we're just having them better be able to spit when we do those two things, right? Like, no, if you're going to spit, you're going to go spit in the sink. He's just perfecting the spitting in the sink. And we're not looking at about why he's spitting. Why is he spitting? He thinks he's funny. When he's mad, he's physically external or verbally external. So some kids, when they're verbally external, spit because they can't speak yet. So they go. When kids get angry, they show in 3 places: their hands, their mouth, and their feet. Same as adults, right? I told you mine is in my mouth and my hands. It's not my feet. People say, do you want to go for... So I ran track from 5th grade all the way through college. And people said, do you want to go for a run? No. I was a sprinter, so I didn't want to go for a run then either. I don't want to run. I'm not like a stalker or a kicker. I'm a getter and a pusher and a swearer. But if you are mad and you get mad in your mouth, what do? Some kids like what? I spit and you do what? Oh, I love that reaction. And if they don't like you because you don't like them and you've made it apparent and obvious where you think, I'm going to do that, I see it all the time. What's going to happen? I'm going to know what makes you mad. I'm going to know what your hot button is, and I'm going to use it against you. Because I can't get out of here. I got to stay in 2nd grade the whole year and nobody's going to move me. So I'm going to make your life hell while I'm here. And you think kids don't do that? Wouldn't you? If you went to the same place every day and every day you were not liked, I would act poorly probably on day 3. It wouldn't take me that long. What other hot buttons are there? Spitting is a big one. I don't know what it is. Fighting? Fighting. Right, that's a hard one because sometimes that's developmental because you don't know the words. Sometimes it's ooh. And then we say stuff like crisscross applesauce, sit crisscross applesauce like a pretzel on your rug square, and you're like, no wonder you're hungry. Talk about applesauce, pretzel. And skin feels good between teeth and teeth. Some kids get angry in their mouth and they'll spit or bite. I still do this. Not a puncher, not a biter. So I clench my teeth. When I'm mad, I clench them. When I love too hard, my son is adorable. I hope you all think your kids are adorable. Mine does look just like me, which I really think is adorable. And he has dimples, and sometimes I'm like, can I do that? So I go to the dentist, and I have 2 spots that are like, I thought I had cavities, and I said, I think I have cavities there. They're sensitive to heat and cold. And I have to like chew in certain places. And he's like, no, you're not cavities. And I was like, are you sure? I mean, he's the dentist. And I said, are you sure? And he said, yeah, it's, you're breaking your teeth. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, so the outside of your teeth is like glass. The inside of your teeth is like bone. So you can break the outside easier than you can the inside. And I was like, who made that up? Who made teeth? Because that was valid. Make an outside glass, because that's like. He's like, so you must grind your teeth in. I was like, I've been with my husband now 18 years. He wasn't the first man that ever obviously. So, like, he's never said. So I went home and I told him and I said, so honey, when I sleep, like wake up, can you set your alarm and wake up and see if I'm grinding my teeth? So he tells me to go into the CVS and get a mouth guard. And I went in, he's like, well, get the like $50 version and see if that works. And if that doesn't work, then, or no, if it does work, we'll get you the like $500 version. Never would I spend $500 a month. I barely want to spend $50 a month. So I went to CVS and I see the mouth guard and I was like, nah. I got a little bit of sexiness left in me. A little bit. That I am not being like, good night, honey. With the mouth guard, I'm not doing that. So I looked at those and I went, nope. And then you take it out and you're so I am not doing the mouth guard. And I went home and I saw my son, my husband, I picked him up and I was like, oh, honey, I love you. And I was like, that's what it is. When I'm mad, I go like that. And when I'm happy, I go like that. And when I'm expressive, I go like that. And I was like, now what am I going to tell the dentist? Sorry, it's not actually that I grind my teeth. I get mad and laugh too hard. In my mouth. So I changed dentists. Because I can't just tell him. He's going to be like, which is true, but I don't want him to think that. What else is a hot button?
Sound effects.
Oh, yeah, right? Like when they eat.
Or just any time.
And all the cars and the.
It didn't even be doing anything.
Yeah, they just, yeah. So they're probably learn externally. So, right, I'm externally, even learning, so they just talk to you about it. But talk to yourself. They say you're smarter if you talk to yourself. I was like, I always thought that was crazy. I like smarter. Just on Facebook. More intelligent if you talk to yourself. I think that's probably propaganda to make me feel better. It worked. It's great. So think about, where does professionalism start and where does it end? Right? It usually ends at your hot button. You usually do stuff that you're like, oh, and you walk away like, don't know. Anybody? Like I should have tagged someone in, I should have said something. Shouldn't have PS'd that. Right? Presentation of ourselves. So in early childhood, you can come in flip-flops. You can come in yoga pants. You can come in the high-waisted shorts with the short top. I look stupid, don't do that. You can come in jeans. You can come in, right? But in this field, we come sometimes, and I've seen, like, here's a girl one day, went in, she had yoga pants on and a shirt that did not cover all of these pieces. I feel like they should. I ran track for 12 years, and we always found shirts that would cover this part, or we would tie shirts around our waist. So now that the style is to, like, not cover that, I'm like, I can't do it for myself. And sometimes if I do, because it's fashionable, and I fall into that, right, remember popularity for me, so I'm out of, like, try to, like, stick my, I don't know, my butt flat, let's try to stick it out. You never know how to walk like that. So I go in and this girl has yoga pants on without covering all her pieces. And then her bun like up here, but she had not showered in a couple days, and you could tell. And I thought, like, if I was a parent, I came to drop off my kid, I don't want to drop him off with you. And then she went down to pick up the kid and went like this. And I could see inside her yoga pants. Not like down here, but like down here. That's done video. You are welcome. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're either wearing underwear, or now I know what print they are. You forgot to wear underwear, so or you're wearing thongs and I should not be able to see. So like when you buy yoga pants at Old Navy and you put them on, bring a friend. Can you see anything? I do. I wear yoga pants. I'm like, hon, check it out. And I bend over and I'm like, can you see in them? He's like, no. And I was like, oh, good, okay. I don't think he knows why I do that. I don't think he hates it. But don't like, and so my mom's rule when she went to UNH is no butt, no boobs, no belly. That's the same for early childhood. If you're a big busted, I get it, I am too. It can't be falling out. You can't have babies and go like this all day and pick them up and you're like, I've seen almost nipples. Like bend down and I was like, I think that's what that was. I think I saw it. Like, it's okay if you want to show them you're in the wrong profession. It's a different one. It has one of these. It's not this big because it's harder to climb. But keep your business in your business. Like, stop. And, right, and people, there's dress codes. The dress codes, although I've read lots of dress codes, and then I go in the classrooms and I'm like, she didn't read it. I did. She did not. And then think about these parents that come in and if you haven't showered, I get it. If showering wasn't socially acceptable, right, you should do it, and you didn't smell, I just don't ever want to shower because it's boring and a job that you have to do at night. I'd rather just go to bed or do. Right, I've been waiting all night for my son to go to bed. I just want to like lay down and chill. And I'm like, oh, I have to shower, which is a whole bunch of jobs because it doesn't wash itself just like this. Which I wish it did. If I was a millionaire, maybe I'd get someone to come and wash me. No. So, you shouldn't look like that. Right? When parents are dropping off their kids, so you can. I mean, I can't tell you one way or the other. I just know that if you're in a field of professionalism and you want it to be professional, you strive for that and fight for it, I can't see inside your yoga pants. Stop. Everybody's going to be like, am I good? That's going to be the new thing now. You can't smell bad. I worked in kindergarten. I had a couple of teachers that I worked with that smelled bad. And a little girl comes up to me and she hugs me and she goes, you smell so good. And I was like, oh yeah, compared to the other two. I'm just going to wear natural deodorant. I was like, I don't think it works. No, it does. No, it doesn't. It's not true. No, it works. It's great. What might work that you don't sweat or but like this little smell bad? I had three teachers that worked with that smelled, and I was like, I'd walk in, I'd be like I think they showered because their hair was wet, but like, you also have to buy soap. And that happened to the long distance guys at track. They thought they washed because they washed their hair and it fell down to their toes, and they forgot to lift and move. But, dude, and I was like, oh my word. And you'd go to give them a hug and you were like, you just get out of the, how do you smell like BO? You just got out of the shower. Right now. And I was like, but imagine if I smell you from here. The kids are gonna really smell you. And they will get like, and right, and if you have kids that used to come to you and now they don't, be like, figure out if you smell better. Language. I am pretty open about my language outside of working with kids. When working with kids, I've never slipped. With my own, that doesn't count. Other people's kids, I've never slipped with. In my house, hate, shut up, and stupid, and piss are swear words. You cannot say those. One day, I was at my house, and I was like, don't, that's so stupid. I said the F word out. My son was in the room, I didn't know, he snuck in on me. And he goes, Mommy! And I was like, yeah, but he goes, you're not supposed to say stupid. Right? He didn't know the F word. He still doesn't know. He did say crap the other day because I said crap. And I was like, okay, we're really going to work on not saying that because coming out of my mouth is funny. Coming out of your 6-year-old mouth is not. And it sounds bad. He's like, but you say it, Mommy. And I always say there's a time and a place where adults can swear. Right? We can do it here. We can do it outside of school. We can do it at a football game. You shouldn't do it to a librarian. Right? There's a time and a place when that is appropriate. There's never a time and a place for it to be appropriate as a kid. Right? It's never a thing. Because it's always going to get them in trouble. Even if they're really mad. I had a mom text me one day and said, what do you do with a 6-year-old that says the F word in school? And I'm like, nothing. That's why I would be like, because it must have been really mad. Something happened. It was really mad. And I said, well, what did you do with him? She goes, oh, he's folding laundry. That has nothing to do with F words. It's not going to teach him a new skill. It's not going to help him modulate his emotions when he gets mad. She's like, I'm so mad. And then she started to text swear words, and I was like, all right. Now I know where to get them. So how do we, this one's tough, social media, and having phones in the classroom. That's really hard. So there are some places I go and everybody has a phone slot. And they all put it in the slot, and there's even chargers that you can like finagle in the back, and so you can charge your phone, but you can't have it in the classroom. But then what do you do to take pictures to document what's going on in the classroom? So do you have another phone, do you have an iPad? What do you do for research, right? You're not going to take out an Encyclopedia Britannica. No. Right? Sometimes you need Google to answer questions that kids have. So A lot of places allow people to have their phones, but then what happens?
You got a text.
Right, and sometimes the director texts the staff information. No, you can, and then what happens when I respond to it? That means what? You know I'm using my phone in the classroom, but you also texted me at 2 in the afternoon when I have the kids. And it beeps. And how many people, if it beeps, you have to look at it. Mine's been on silent since I've had Brennan, because I don't want it to beep or vibrate or buzz or jump or flip. I don't want it to do any of that. Because I have a hard time just leaving it alone. Fast paced, so I see it and I'm like, I probably won the lottery, I should check it. Probably what it is. I didn't play the lottery, but I probably won. Right? It's just like a giveaway. And you don't play, but you win anyway. So I'm terrible at that. I also see a lot of people be friends with their families on social media. So what happens there? The parents get mad because they have to pay when their kids aren't there, but you know they went to Punta Cana. Right, which costs a lot of money, so pay me. Just because your kid's not here, I still have to watch the other kids. And it's easier to figure out budget that way, right? So that's hard. I remember I do know the side of the parents because Brennan was homeschooled and I paid only when he went, which was great. But I get both sides of how that's tricky and how to figure that out. But I had a friend one time that said, oh, I Facebook stalked my families. You don't think you should. Sometimes it's hard when you know too much information about the families. But they bought a new car, yet they're behind on their bills. It's screwed. Then you're like, oh, but you got a BMW I can't afford. And you can't afford to send your kid here, but you have a car or you're going on vacation. Right, I have sometimes the parents on Facebook will ask me questions, and then if the questions get to be this is more of not a couple questions, it's more of a consult. And so I'll look at it, and I'm like, okay, well, let's set up a consult. And then I tell them I don't take insurance, which is always hard for the parents. And I tell them how much I charge an hour, and then it's like crickets. Right? Never hear from them again. Except what? They forget I am friends with them on social media. So I know you're going to Mexico. Or I know that you got a new car. And you've told me all of these things that are so hard about your son or daughter, and I'm like, and I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money. I'm just saying that you forget I can see. Because you put everything you've been doing your whole life out into the world. I can see it. So when you're saying, oh, that's tough, that's a lot of money, it is. I get it. Right, my husband and I don't really make enough to bring my son to a private school that we chose. You know what? If we're going to spend extra money, it's going to be on what? Education. And food. We also decided food. Because we eat clean and organic, so that is $1 million approximately.
The other thing about social media is also teachers posting things about them and how they spend their time with families.
Yes, and it goes the other way as well, and then you think, But social media is great for posting stuff of the kids on a page. So, on the school page, so they can see it throughout the day, right? That happened yesterday. They were posting stuff, and I could see my son having fun at school because I was nervous he didn't care. He loved it. Because to him, it's like, Mommy, it's just like, I just going where I went to summer camp? Yeah, but it's probably going to be like summer camp. Mommy sent you to school like summer camp for the rest of your life. Well, until 8th grade. And he's like, oh, so he's like, so it's just all my same friends? Yeah. He's like, cool. He asked me this morning, is it a school day? I said, it is one. He goes, yes! Oh, that's music to my ears, considering I do that as a job, right? I go into schools and see these kids that are like, get me out of this school. And I wanted to set my son up differently. So, knowing on social media what happens. I've had teachers that put on social media all of their, mental health issues. I hope you're not friends with any of the parents, because then I'm going to send my kid to you, who you just said you have anxiety and depression really bad, where you can't get through most days, and I'm going to give you my my 2-year-old? Yeah, no, I'm not. And I'm glad that you're getting, that you're aware and that you're getting help, and I just wish I didn't know. So that's hard information to have and not do anything with. So cell phones and texting in the classroom, that happens a lot. When I was a nanny, I was like the only nanny I nannied in mostly, so around here, very affluent. People thought I was the mom. I said, wow,
Because you weren't sitting on your
because I wasn't on my phone. Not because all the nannies, like, to the point where they had earplugs in. They like listen to music or had one headphone and their kid would just go. And I was like on, where it's not my kid, like if they get hurt and it's on my dime, I'm little. So I'd be like, I'm on the climbing wall with her, I'm on the structure, like I'm the big one on the little structure, like, hi guys! I'm going down the slide, I'm climbing up the stairs, I'm going on the lucky bars. And they were all thinking I was all in. And maybe all the moms would be too, except they didn't need any moms. They went along with it. Health. So I think it's in the bathroom. Yesterday, I don't think it's here. Yesterday it says, if your kid's sick, keep them home. But when you're sick, what happens? You better stop going to school, so we do not have a place for you. Then we have to get subs, and then it's a disaster, so like how sick are you? You're like, I have diarrhea, can't get out of control. Well, you think you'd be in my tent? Right? So like, we don't want kids to be sick. How many? I had 5-year-olds when I taught kindergarten. The kids would come and be like, I had pink medicine this morning. No, you can't have pink medicine in the morning. But right, and we get mad when the kid is sick. But what happens? I'm a mom of a son who, when he was little, was sick. But when I gave birth to my son, before I gave birth, I was a kindergarten teacher. After I gave birth, I was a behavioral teacher. So I entered a new field, new job, where I worked for myself. So I had a new job title. I didn't have any jobs. Well, I went back to work at the kindergarten that I used to work at to teach, and she was amazing. And I said, for this much, could I consult here and kind of practice? And she said, sure. So Brennan was sick on a consulting day. And I was like, if I don't do this, I can't pay my mortgage. My husband has his own rate, we've always been separate with bills, except for like utilities and stuff. So like I had to figure it out, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to find the hole. Which I can't do, I just had a kid, so that did not work out with me. And so I was like, okay, so what am I gonna do? So I made 3 bottles, you had to make the bottles bring them in. And I numbered the caps. And I said, oh, I made this one last night, it's gonna go bad, and I had a big story. What did I do? I put red medicine, big medicine in the middle one. So I gave it to him before he went. These are infants, we didn't say anything. I gave him the first bottle. By the second bottle, it wore off, right? So I put it in the second bottle, and then it started to wear off when I went to pick him up at 5. Is that awful? Yes. Do we hate that? Yes. But know that the other, and I would judge crazily when I taught kindergarten. Now I'm like, you have to, because I wouldn't have been able to pay my bills if they didn't want me to. I got in trouble for putting, I didn't know you weren't supposed to put cereal in there. But it was like 6 months into it. They were like, you're not supposed to put cereal. I was like, right. And they gave me this whole big thing, and I was like, okay. So I just put less cereal. They were like, we thought it was kind of thick. Oh yeah, it's the special cereal-based formula. I didn't know. I put cereal in it. Why? Because it held them over longer and I could sleep longer. And that's what I wanted to do. For obesity, I'm not sure what they told me, and I was just like, so put less in? No, you can't put any in. I'm thinking, so that's not okay. Right, I already told you and nobody said anything after that, but I know that I shouldn't have put the Tylenol in. But I also know I have to go to work, so what do you do? Right? So professionally, what do we have to see? We have to see that side as well. And I would have said I was good at not judging parents. But right, I was 26 when I taught. From 26 to like 35-ish. And what happened? judged horribly. But I didn't think I did. But then I became a mom and I was like, oh my gosh, you can't even, just shut the door. When you pee and poop, just shut it. And they will be outside. How many people thought that was just that easy? I did. And then you have a kid, and how many people have peed and pooped with your kid on your lap? To the point where my son is on me with his head down, and he goes, Mommy, rub my back. I am pooping. And I'm like sitting there going, shh, shh, rubbing his back like this. Mommy, lift up my shirt. I like it better when you lift up my shirt. Still, at 6, he will come in and he goes, Mommy, what are you doing? I'm in the bathroom. Are you pooping? Yes, that's why I closed the door. Daddy doesn't like when the door's open. And he goes, okay. And then I see the shadow sitting like right at that door. Oh my goodness. Hard to find good staff. Need I say more? Yeah. It's hard to find good staff. And a lot of people feel like they're like, oh, I don't like where I work, but I'm stuck and I can't. No. Know that every place, every school, preschool, child care center is, yeah, they're all hiring. So if you don't like it where you are, stay here, because I'll get it. But there are other places that are like, we can't find people to work. And you get resumes and you're like, yeah. So that in our field is hard, right? Because people are like, yes, I want to work with children and make 40 cents an hour. Right, obviously you do one. Make more as a babysitter, you can make more as a babysitter than you're doing anything. I remember when I went from being a teacher in child care to being a nanny, and they told me how much I would get paid, and I was like, I get all of that? And they're like, yeah. I was like, and I don't have to fill out permission slips for field trips? I could just go where I want? And they were like, yes. And I was like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I was like, what? I paid so much money a week, I thought, from going from childcare to nannying. And then from nannying to babysitting. Just keep roaming around families every day. You're like, you need a babysitter, you need a babysitter. And be like Oprah. And you want a babysitter that you pay for. And you want a babysitter that you pay for, right? And giving it to everybody. Kids keep getting harder, yeah? Kids keep getting harder. So when I was little, there was one kid who didn't listen. I dated him when I was 16. I don't really love that. But there was one kid who didn't listen. He was a little bit edgy and fell outside the traditional box. But the rest of us kind of got in line to do what we're supposed to do. And now I'm like, there's one kid who listens. And the rest of them, I'm always going to have a job. Because I feel like the kids are getting harder. Why? Because of the way society is and the strategies we're still using for the kids that no longer, the kids didn't ever listen to those strategies anyway. But now, right, there's no delayed gratification, there's no substitution. The world is so fast-paced and hectic. We're all technology, so all the kids are like, with technology. And you're like, oh, goodness. Right, remember when you were little and my neighbor got $5 for an A for the whole semester. She worked the whole semester and she got $5 for an A. Today, how many think any kid would work for an A all semester for $5? They expect that like on a 10-minute basis. Nope, they're not doing that. So those are some of the obstacles, right? And we have to fight those obstacles to get to be professional, right? We are a professional field. What we do is really hard, and I know a lot of people are thinking it's hard, and a lot of people say, oh, I couldn't do that. But then where do you get to the point where you pay us what we are worth, which is this, but then no kids come to your school, you just have a school with adults working with nobody. Because nobody can afford to do that. So how do you find that medium, right? Okay, and I think there's another one going to. I have 17 handouts. So I wrote, see, this is what happens. They're the same, except I wrote notes on this one, and not on this one. This is what I'm following. Squirrel! I should probably also write them on this one. But when I got here, it said 2-hour workshops. This is also an all-day one. Then I changed it up a little bit for another thing. And because it said 2-hour workshop, I looked at it, I was like, it doesn't have any don't. And then I get afraid I'm not going to know what to say, which hasn't never happened. But just I get nervous about it sometimes. So professionalism requires us to be bigger even when we feel cranky or petty. So we talked about that with leave your baggage at the door. But how many bags do you have packed? 27? But we are expected to leave it at the door and be what? Always happy. Always patient. Always in a good mood. Always be thoughtful and empathetic. Always give kids time to do what they need to do. And you're thinking, just fought with my husband or my wife, and my kids drove me absolutely bonkers this morning. I didn't get to stop and get my coffee, which is awful. And I got here, and my coworker's sick. And you're thinking, keep it together, keep it together. When really in your head, you're like, I have diarrhea, I gotta go home. Like, it's in my pants, and I gotta go home. Right? Like, you just think, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to know. Right? So, how do we stay? There's only one day that I've ever left. I had long hair, like, at one point, and it was down like this. I wore it, like, in that pretty side, like, with my shoulder closer. And I had a little girl who was mad at me because she was 11. And I was holding the door. She wanted to elope, as they call it in school. She wanted to leave the classroom. And I held my, they call it eloping, and I was like, no, that's in Las Vegas. That's different. That's what it said, eloping, and I had to go up and be like, that's eloping. Because I don't like when it's in the Elvis Chapel. I don't know what happens if you, they're like, that's when she leaves the classroom. Who just leave the classroom? So I have my arm around the door, she wants to leave, and I said, you may not leave the classroom, and she punched me in the eye. And her eyes went, because I didn't move, where everybody else had moved since then, so she punched me right across the face. And I still didn't move, and she was like, so she took my ponytail, like a cave woman, and like dragged me across the room, and I was like, help, help, help. And all the hairs under here, right? You know, if you have a ponytail, because it's so annoying to ever get that one caught, and you're like, no, no. She pulled them all out, and I still have scars to this day. So I'm like, help me, and I cut my hair soon after that. That's why it's short now, and I don't wear any dangly, any sort of thing. Sometimes I take my watch off because I want to keep it in kid watch. And that day, I went back to my car at the end of that day, and I thought, I think I'm gonna go home. I think today's the day. I'm gonna go home. Because I work with hard kids all day, so you can't go home after every hard thing that happens because you couldn't make a living. You can't just go to one place every day and be like, oh, that was hard, gotta, peace out, gotta go. So that's the only day that I can remember that I left. And I went home and I was like, oh, I should soak my head. I was in my tub soaking it with blood. It was like, I had to like put the drain down, and it was like the water was pink. And my husband made sure I didn't need any stitches, but she pulled them out in like chunks. It felt like WWE wrestling. And right, and not that she was strong, but I was stronger, but not like this. And I don't know how much purpose that would have served to be stronger. Like I can't. Like try to undo someone's fingers. Can't, even when they're little, right? Have you ever tried with an infant to try to like clean in here? Right? It's almost impossible to like open an infant's hand and be like, no, buddy, you got gross, gotta go again there. Come on. So like, how do you now? So I've had a hard time with my kids. My husband and I got in a fight. Didn't get my coffee. I came in, and now I have to work with the sub who I don't like. But I gotta be sunshiny day while I'm here. And that's hard. Right, it's hard. And then the kids, right, I think they always know, and they're always a little hungry that day. And even if you're like, you know what, Miss Meg wants to go to the moon today. I don't want to be here, so like, could you help me out? And sometimes they do, but other times they just don't have the skills to do it, right? They don't know how. Like, I'm trying. And you're like, really? I think this job especially, we have to keep that at the door. I think probably police officers, they have to keep their baggage at the door, although we've seen the ones that can't, right, out in the world. I've seen the child care people that the minute I come in, they're like, do you know about him? Oh my gosh, so, and then they go on to this tirade, and I was like, tell him he's not gonna like it. I like her. So now I'm stuck in the middle, and I don't know what to do, or, oh, this kid drives me crazy. I'm like, he's right there. You can't say that in front of him. Like, I saw one kid one time, he was like, he fell a little bit outside the box, like he knew the rule, but it would always kind of like, okay. Which, and I love that. Like, yeah, just see if there's any give there, right? He was just checking. And the teacher was like, oh, he drives me crazy. And I was like, no, we can hear you. You just might have ruined it forever. We're right, she was having a hard day. And so I get a lot of people to vent to me. I sit in the director's office and they vent about the teachers. Then I go to the teacher's room and then they vent about the director. And I was like, no wonder the kids having a hard time. You guys do not like each other. And then I was like, no. And that's tricky, right? So how do we be bigger even when it feels impossible? Are there people here, right, because we talked about communication and teamwork, are there people here we can go to say, no, no, no. So when I taught kindergarten, I got a call on my lunch break. I went to sleep, of course, on my lunch break. I ate for 60 seconds and slept for 59 minutes. And I got a call, and I was like, hi, and they're like, oh, it's the doctor's office. I had just gotten a mole removed here. And they said, and we just wanted to let you know the results. It is melanoma. I said, it is or isn't? And they said, is. I said, so without the apostrophe T? They were like, yes. You have skin cancer. And I was like, but this is like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I have 3 hours of work. So I was like, okay. Right. And it was big enough that they then have to check the lymph nodes. I have a big scar right here. Because they had to check the lymph nodes to make sure it wasn't in the lymph nodes because it was past a certain place. And I was like, okay, just like if you had breast cancer, they have to check the lymph nodes in your arm to see if, right, if the lymph nodes have it, it will keep going in your leg. And so I was like, okay. So I went in, and I went to my director, and I said, okay, so I just got a call that I have skin cancer in my leg, and we need to check the lymph nodes, I need to have surgery, and she was like, okay. And I was like, all right. But it could have been that I didn't like the director and I didn't want to go to her, and what would have happened? I would have tried to make it through 3 more hours. How do you think that's going to be? Oh, that was hard. It would have been hard. She said, we will find you somebody you can go home. But only because I felt like I could go to her. Who do we go to? Right? I remember coming in a couple days and be like, I'm just the sweep under the sensory table, put out the mat, lunchtime girl today. And they're like, okay. Right? Like, do you have somebody you can tell that to? And somebody say, right, you can't do it every day because then when you're like, wow, you are a hot mess. Get it together. But how do we work as a team, right? If we're really a team, how do I go and say, I'm not hurt tonight. I'm on the verge of tears, but I also know that if I stayed home, it would be worse for you and for me. So I came. But I can only do this much. And you have somebody to support you to say, okay, and then that person is like geared up. Because I was on the other side of like, I'm the person to gear up because you're having a hard time. Keep your eye on the prize, so quality care regardless. Regardless of what people say, regardless of like what you hear, regardless of what other centers do. Well, the other center down the street was still jerks. Doesn't matter. They can. It's still not best practice. So we're going to do this here. So we have to keep our eye on that. Sometimes we get a little bit, we fall off the path. Because quality care regardless means you got to work really hard for your 40 cents. And sometimes you're just like, oh, be careful. Who's going to know? So be the adult, put ourselves in other people's shoes. Right? So there's a lot of kids that have had traumatic backgrounds. And there are so many adults that have secondary trauma from that trauma, like the kid has the trauma and it's their trauma that's being excited. And to try to figure out how do I help this kid without me being trauma reactive or without me thinking, oh, right? A little boy, he was lots of trauma in his background. He was kept in his crib for like the first 2 years of his life, barely held, which we know can lead to death in humans if you're barely held. He was not changed often. So imagine, look, he would cry, and no one would come get him. And he had like old soiled bottles. And so that is where he came from. So every time he sees an adult, he tries really hard by whining and crying and saying he needs help with things he doesn't need help with because he wants you to stay close. So I came into the classroom and he dumped over a puzzle, and he was going to do it. And then the teacher said, 5 more minutes till clean up. Or no, she said, clean up. And he was like, right, and you could see him go like this. He was just going to do this. I said, whoa, Stephen, buddy, come here for a sec. He came over and I said, do you think you could do that puzzle in 5 minutes? He goes, yeah, it's an easy one. I said, okay. So you're going to go over to the teacher. Go to Miss Lindsay and say, Miss Lindsay, can I have 5 more minutes? He looked at me like, that is not good. I said, go ahead, please. And as he's walking, he said, Miss Lindsay, Stephen's coming over to ask you a question. Right, I was setting her up like, I told him to ask the question, so please give the appropriate response. Whatever one you're thinking, give the opposite one. So he comes over, and he went over to her and said, Miss Lindsay, can I have 5 more minutes? She said, you sure can. He turns around like this. Like it worked! Because in his past would have not worked. Anything. So it worked and he did it and put it together. I was like, what was like? And then it was winter time, so I was putting on his snow pants. And he comes over and he goes, I can't do it, I can't need help. He had it all on except for the zipper part, which is not like the zipper right out of the coat. It was just like, you go. So he could do it. And so he's like, Mag, I can't. And I said, what's happening? He said, I can't zip my snow pants, I can't put them on. I was like, you can't zip your snow pants, you can do anything you want, you can help me. Come on over here, zip your snow pants and say, Meg, will you keep me company? I'd love to keep you company. So what did I do? I just squatted on my knees. Well, I helped all the other kids put on hats and mittens and coats, and I just talked to him. And now to this day, when I go into that center, I walk in and he goes, Meg! Can you come keep me company? Yeah! But that never worked for you before, right? Quality care regardless. Could I have been mad? Right? Because he was using my hot button. Right? I could have went out of professionalism and be like, dude, you can zip your snow pants. Stop it. I'm not going to help you. You can do it. 5. Ah. Which I've heard, right? We think, that's not nice. I've heard, I don't know how many times I've heard that. But you can do it. So I've taught my son that. He doesn't like to be by himself. He wants to be like this. Anybody have that kid? Like this all the time? Mommy, I just love you. I know I love you too, but can you have to be so close all the time? So I was like, Bud, go up and get socks. Immediately he wanted us. Dude, you can get socks. That's how I was doing it. Until I met Steve and I was like, buddy, can you go get socks? Let me know if you need them. Sometimes he can go, I'll go get him, Mommy. You're making a lunch. Okay. Other times, when he's feeling like he needs some company, he'll say, yeah, Mommy, I need company. Can you come with me? Sure can, but I need to wait 2 minutes while I finish this. There's no whining in it. And there's not a tantrum in it. And it wasn't really a tantrum. It was just like, it felt like a tantrum in my ears. Because my brain was going, whining, danger, danger, danger. I wanted to like run away, and my brain can't run away from him. So he is just like, Mommy, I just want company. Oh, okay, bud. My husband and I were talking. We were out to dinner one time. We were talking. And Brendan kept trying to, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. And he kept trying to interject, and I was like, Bud, 1 minute. And he goes, oh, I just want attention. Yeah, that's what we need to hear. Not excuse me, I just need, I want your attention. Here, Bob, hold my hand. Come closer. I'll give you my physical attention until I can give you my eyes and my ears. But that was tricky. Right? So anybody think they're a really awesome preschool teacher, infant teacher, toddler teacher? And sometimes a harder mother. My husband will stop me and go, whoa, if you were not the mother in this house, but you were a behavior controller in this house, what would you do? Talk for like 4 hours about it. He's like, oh, then do that. And I'm like, oh. I've often gone home and be like, well, that's the strategy I need, but I didn't learn it till I saw Stephen. As you're emotionally close to your kids, and sometimes it gets fogged out, right? To be a professional, so the definition of professionalism, what do you think it is? What's the definition? Do you see the squirrels right then running around in circles? The definition of professionalism, what is it? What do you think? Everybody looking it up on their phone.
To act in a certain manner in your job.
I don't know the definition, so it's not like we're
Okay.
So I'm not like, that's not it? No, I didn't look it up. That would be a duck, and I did right now. Right, it's to act a certain way. It's to act a certain way so people think you know what you're doing. Right? So parents come in, drop off their kids, and they're like, yeah, you've got me. I trust you with my kid. Right? I think there's trust involved in professionalism. Anybody have kids themselves that have had to drop them somewhere? And sometimes you're like, nope, I don't like that. Right? Oh yeah. Where Brennan went to childcare when he was little. And I loved his infant teacher. But they could have 4 at a time by themselves. I barely run one at a time by themselves. So you could have 4. So if Brennan was the 4th, my husband and I would sit in the rocking chair. For the 5th, we would definitely sit in the rocking chair. They're like, oh, someone's coming in. Sure, I'll be here to help you until someone gets here. Because you shouldn't have 4 babies, never mind 5 babies. And I really want you to pay attention to mine because I love him a lot. Like feed him and give him some snuggles and like I would like you to do that. And I had to pull him. I had to pull him out. I just couldn't. Did not try. He would get there, and he's a kid who needs structure and he's that way. Like my husband, he wants to know the place. He wants to know his teacher. He wants to know who's in the classroom. He wants to know all that stuff. But you would get in, and there weren't teachers there, or there weren't enough kids because of sickness, so they would close the classroom and split it. And I was like, that's really hard for Brennan. And they always sent him with the younger kids because he didn't hit and bite. Which is great, but at some point I also want him to be with the older kids, but they always put him with the younger kids. And I was like, so that's when we started homeschooling. Went to home child care, but my friend who did home child care also homeschools her kids, so he was just a sheet of 4. Woo! And I can't even imagine that because I had one. But he was the 5th one in that group for about 3.5 years. And I'm so sad. And I'm going to Alicia's house. I want to go to Alicia. And now he's a big boy in 1st grade. I'm like, so the next question is, are we a professional babysitters? Yeah, we're professionals, right? And the obstacles are what we talked about first. Does professionalism matter? Yeah. Have you ever asked anybody what would make us more professional? I think that's some of the obstacles. To dress a certain way, to act a certain way, I think even if we did all that, the pay is still the problem. I remember going, before I taught the kindergarten I taught at, I went somewhere else and I had babysitting background, and they wanted to pay me $6.45 an hour. Granted, that was a long time ago, remember I'm 40, so I was like, and I did that quickly, I dropped the 45 cents, I did that quickly in my head, I was like, I'm going to make $150 a month. no fun. So even if you look good and it's pretty and you act well and I can't see inside your yoga pants, the pay is still going to be hard, right? Because how do we, profession and what, oh, you're a professional. Yeah, we are. But do we get seen as that? I think we fall off that because we get paid for it. That's true. Well, see, this is my next one. That goes down there. This comes up here. Look at, these are even numbered pages. I have no idea why. And 5 is circled. I don't know why that either. I have like 17 of them. So, NACI Code of Ethics. So if we're looking for professionalism and we're looking for this piece, I went to NACI because they're the one that has sort of the Code of Ethics, the professionalism, the how we should act. I don't agree with everything they say. They're the ones who told me to squirt the table and wait 2 minutes. And then I was like, don't touch the poison! Right? Don't we learn, NACI told us to do that. So, the Code of Ethics, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So appreciate childhood as a unique and valuable stage of the human life cycle. We certainly do in this field. Who does not? Society. What are we doing? As a unique and valuable stage. But what do we keep doing? Pushing down the curriculum. So 2-year-olds now are learning STEM. I'm doing a STEM workshop on Thursday. And they're like, could you talk to us about STEM and infants and toddlers? Because we don't know what to do. You're already doing it, I'm sure. Whatever is in the diaper of the 2-year-old, just show it to them. This came from your body. Science. Check. Like we're already doing it. If they're playing with blocks and trying to stack them and feeling them and observing them and moving them, they're already doing it. But the thing is we're nervous because we have to like, this whole push down thing. They have to learn to write when they're 3. They have to learn to read when they're 4. Why? My son is 6. So if he went to public school, he would be behind. Because he does not know all the letters, uppercase and lowercase. He does not know the sounds of all the letters, and he can't read. But in my head, I thought, could he get to college and not know how to read? No. He will most certainly learn to read in college before he gets to college. Right? Of course he will. Unless he has a severe learning disability, which I think you would know already. Or he grew up in a place where there are no schools and there's no education. Right? Those would be the 2 reasons you wouldn't read in college. Could he get to college and be a bad friend and be a weird kid and not have empathy? Yeah. Be a bad social emotional skills in college. Do you know adults like that? Yeah. So I'm thinking, what's our job? Social emotional growth. At one point my husband says, we either have to find a different school or move to Finland. Yes. Those things. Luckily there's a school right next town over that's amazing. So that's where he goes. But I had to really stand strong in that social emotional thing because everybody would say, we were on the boat yesterday and the captain said, what's that number? He gets 6 and 9 still mixed up. He's like a 1 and a 2 and a 7? He's like, so 127, and Brennan looked at him like, I don't know what a 1 and a 2 and a 7 together is. But what did we wait for? We waited for him to want to spell his name, and then he was singing the alphabet, but there was only B's and N's, because his name is Brennan, so he only cares about a B and an N anyway. Right? And the R is the kickstand letter. Still, this time, I don't know if he knows it's an R, it's a kickstand letter. And without the kickstand, it's a pop-up letter. B. That's an upside down M. That's an upside down M. That's an upside down rainbow. Right? So he's got it. This is a roof. Oh, maybe that's with the roof on it. Right? And then he doesn't let go. Mommy, it's also a circle. Which one do I call it? And he's getting there. And he's like, Mommy, I can't wait to learn how to read. Lucky you're going to school. Right? We've talked about letters. We talk about them out. Right? But I wasn't like, you should learn to read by the time you go to kindergarten. So when if he was in first grade in public school, what would happen? He'd have Title I, and he'd be in special groups, and he got worked up about it because they were doing name tags. He's like, why are we wearing name tags? I said, so you can know who your friends are. He goes, well, I can't read, Mommy. And I was like, well, then ask them what their name is, and then just go. And he was like, I'm too dumb to go to that school because I don't know how to read. I said, but you're 6. You're the coolest kid I've ever met, ever. Chill. You're going to learn how to read, buddy. It's probably going to be this year, and it's going to be fast. And he's like, okay. Right? I was waiting for him to want to. It just happened to be at 6 that he wants to. So I'm okay with that. But I also had to know that typical education isn't okay with that. But I am appreciating the uniqueness, right? And the valuable stage that he's in. He likes archaeology. He likes being a pirate. He likes Alien and E.T. He likes that stuff. We're going, anybody in Exeter, New Hampshire this weekend. Labor Day weekend, whatever. Labor Day weekend, they have a UFO festival in Exeter. And I am going. I am going with my son and all the men who currently live in their parents' basements. We're all going together. Like, they dress up, and like, we've been to a comic book show where I didn't know that was going to be the case. We were yard selling, I was like, oh, there's a comic book show, should we go? He was like, yeah. I walk in, I was like, and all these guys are talking to me, right, because I'm the only kind of pretty girl in there, like, I should go with you. Just stand there and be like, I don't know. And this guy's like, there's a comic book. Do you know Massachusetts? There's a comic book store in Auburn, Maine. And you could go, you could dress up. And I was like, I have a 6-year-old who just likes, we're going to buy one comic book and probably a Batman. That was a thing. I mean, I knew it was a stereotype, but I try not to fall into the stereotypes. And then I went and I was like, oh no, it's true. All the guys that live in their parents' basements, and they were like, weirdly talking to me. And they didn't have the social emotional skills. I was like, holy one. You learned how to read at 3. God. And not all of them, right, of course, but it was like one guy and all of his junk. Which right? And then another guy. And I was like, so the UFO festival, I think it's going to be the same, which is going to be amazing because people are dressed up as aliens. Not just, no one was dressed up at the comic book show I went to. I had to go to the one in Auburn, Maine for that. So, if you see me, I will not be dressed up, but if you are dressed up, please wait. It's going to be amazing. And my son likes E.T. So we are bringing E.T. with us. I think E.T. My son currently thinks E.T. is real. He's seen the movie, and I was like, well, buddy, I don't know if he's real, because in the movie, he's like, he's not real? He thought he would, like, they found E.T. and put him in the movie. And we read the first chapter of E.T. and he cried because he gets left behind in the redwood tree that's broken. Because he's a botanist, right? E.T.'s a botanist. So now we've gone out from an Earth star that's red. It looks like the tree that got run over in the book. And watering it. And like, I totally am doing reading comic books, which are hard to read. I feel like which one of the guys said, which is 100% true, he's like, if you really want to learn how to read, start with comic books. Because you will be a good reader fast. And I'm like, they're hard, yeah? Comic books are hard to read. Because I don't know where to go next. And I'm like, and then I read it and I was like, that didn't make any sense. So, right? And then the artwork with comic books are amazing. So I'm like, all right, I'm doing it. But I didn't grow up doing any of that stuff, but can we go to comic book shows? Yes. Do you draw and write them? No. Darn.
Design stuff?
Because I don't know how to do any of that. We make them, but it's always in a store.
Yeah, exactly.
So you do, what do you mean everything is about?
She makes costumes,
and she's very talented.
See, I should have known you before. I could have had an ET costume. Can you do it in 4 days? On Saturday.
They probably could.
Maybe.
What other alien do you dress up as? I feel like ET, and then he likes the green kind with the black eye. Can I do that one?
The ones from that machine in Toy Story.
Oh, yeah, he likes those too. With the 3 heads? No, the little like those guys.
They have 3 eyes.
Yeah, 3 eyes, right. He doesn't like when they have 3 eyes. He's like, Mommy, that's not a real alien. And I was like, dude. What's a real alien? E.T. Which I told him was a robot and then had to take back. It's really hard to take back this morning. I mean, E.T. is so real. So, next one. Base our work on knowledge of how children develop and learn. Except, that's not always taught to us in the way that children develop and learn. Right? We want kids to fall through 100% of the time. At 2, they fall through about 60% of the time. So if you have 2-year-olds and you're thinking like they fall through like half the time, you're doing it, yes. That's developmentally appropriate. Kids learn to read when? 7, 8, 9 years old. In Finland, it's 8, 9. And until 8, 9, what happens? They're behind with everybody else. And then Finland is the most literate country because between 9 and 10, they catch up and surpass their 9 and 10-year-old peers in different places. Because they teach them when they're ready. So, if we were to base our knowledge on that, we wouldn't be teaching letters and numbers in kindergarten. But you can't find a kindergarten where that's not true. I mean, you can teach them, but in Finland, they go to school they're there for 6 hours. The parents can work, but how long are they in school for? Like 2. 2 hours of academic instruction. The rest of it is, I want to go climb a tree. Do it. That's going to be amazing. I want to wear a T-Rex costume. Do it. I can wear that. To the comic book, no, to the alien thing, kind of. Right if I just put like an antenna or something. I could be a dinosaur alien. Appreciate and support the bond between child and family. A lot of times I see teachers versus parents. Teachers, oh, it's all the parents' fault. I get that a lot. Or the parents are like, oh, it's all the teacher's fault. He doesn't do that at home. We hear that all the time. He doesn't do that at home. You're like, oh, right. Down that. And so it shouldn't be teachers and parents, right? Parents are the first caregiver. Teachers are the second caregiver. The third one is the environment. So like we need the first and second caregivers to work together, not apart. We do it together a lot. Apart a lot. We need to have open communication and figure out how to help these kids. And sometimes you know best because you are the educator. Sometimes I know best because I am the expert on my kid. And sometimes which strategies at home work? What strategies in the classroom work? How can we work together to make sure those fit into what we're doing? Recognize that children are best understood and supported in the context of family, culture, community, and society. So homeschool and community, those are the 3 natural environments. We have to make sure that we are taking all of those into consideration. Respect the dignity, worth, and uniqueness of each individual, which I think we do until what happens? We don't understand the behavior, there's trauma, there's a challenging behavior. That's when I see the respect, dignity, and uniqueness of the kids or an individual go down the drain. Right, Stephen was having a really hard time. When they were trying a whole language and they couldn't figure it out. And I was like, oh, it's because he doesn't know what a relationship looks like. And it's hard when you have so many kids. I was like, so let's figure out how we can teach him that we're here. You can just ask for company and we'll come to you. We'll hang out, we'll chill. Every time I see him. Because he knows I got him. I got your number, buddy. I know. I know what happened. I read the notebook. I'll help you figure it out. And always like this. And I swear he smells me. The minute I get in there, he's like, Meg! I'm like, you didn't even see me, and I'm not talking. So you didn't hear me first. One day it took about 10 minutes, and he was like, how long have you been here? Running at me, I was like, woo! Respect diversity in children, families, and colleagues. Respecting diversity means respecting things that are different from us. But different sometimes is strange, different sometimes is awkward, different sometimes is just different. And we need to just look at it as different. It's not the way we were raised, it's not the way we would do this. Right? I know for the infant teachers, I see it a lot with babies whose parents hold them and sleep with them on their chest, and then they come to you and what happens? Yeah, you can't put them down. So then you have to wear them. You're like, oh, because they only sit. You know what? Look at the other side of, right, putting yourself in the shoes of a parent. If my kid didn't sleep and an ice cream sundae would help at 3 months old, I'd probably try an ice cream sundae. Because I want to sleep. Anybody have kids? You're amazed that they lasted this long because they're still alive and they're awake. And then they sleep and then they eat. Like, I looked at my husband one day and I thought, he is still alive. Because you're so tired and your brain is so frazzled that if sleeping on me meant I got to sleep, yes, do it. And there are some, right? I had a mom that did that, and everybody was judging and judging and judging and judging and judging and not seeing it as different, but seeing it as like, whoo, nope. And then come to find out she had a baby, no one knew this, but she shared it with me and not them. Because, right, it was teacher versus parent, so she wasn't going to share her personal information. And the mom had a baby and it died of SIDS. Which if you were a mother, like I get chills talking about it, makes you want to throw up. Well, yeah, wouldn't you put your baby on the chest too? Like, keep him there. Oh, okay, keep him there. Right? Hold him. Because I put him in a crib and they're supposed to be safe in there and something happened. I imagine going to pick up that baby and it not being alive. Oh, I got you wrong. Yuck. And I check on my son when I put him to bed. I check on my son again before I go to bed. If I ever wake up to go to the bathroom, I check him again. And I'm not an anxious person. I'm just like, if something happened, maybe I would catch it. But that's what my brain thinks. But as I'm afraid to think of that stuff. And I think, yep, find a baby who died of SIDS, and then I had another baby. Bet your ass I wear it all the time. It would be attached to my instinct to me. I would do something. So it would not be sick, and right, because no one really knows what happens with SIDS. So keeping it close. So until that was shared with us, it was weird and different, right? And then after it was shared, it was just different, right? And we were like, yeah, you do that too. And the teachers were like, oh, they cried and they were so upset. They were like, we didn't do that. And I was like, oh, then we got to work on being more approachable because that should have been something she'd share with us because that makes a lot of sense now that she has a baby. And the baby can't be put down ever because it's used to being on the mom.
You just never know.
You never.
Anybody else's.
You don't know anybody else's story. Ever. And we can pretend we do, and we can assume we do, and then what happens? When we assume, right, you know the saying, you assume and it makes what? An ass out of you. So like they were assuming this mom was just overprotective because she was a dingbat. She was bonkers. Why was she overprotective? For a very good reason. Right, I've gotten that a lot. I've got a lot of judgment, not with Brennan. I do now because he doesn't know all his letters and numbers, and that's what I wrote in the, like, what do you want me to know about your son? He doesn't know. He's not, like, where he's supposed to be for, right, the letters and numbers. He's not. People will be like, I can't believe you didn't, like, what? Make it a really schedule and whatever. It's going to be, he's going to read. My job is social emotional growth, and that's what I did when I was in kindergarten. I co-teacher did the reading stuff. And I bought all the stuff to read, and I was like gung-ho, and I was like, it's summer, and we live on the beach. We'll I'll just draw some A's in the sand. Right? I just can't. But I was judged, and I still probably am judged for that. Because I'm way different outside. I also, my whole life, I've been judged for being stupid. Because I present like this. With my squirrels and my spaciness and my whimsical nature. And then everybody thinks I'm dumb. Because how can you be smart and act like that? How can you act like that and not be on drugs or be drunk or taking HTS? Like, I've gotten that too. Coaches, all sorts of coaches, soccer and track coaches, all the way growing up. Once I got old enough where you couldn't be drinking, they thought I drank. I said, no, I wear red underwear, shiny underwear. And then as you get older, it's a spandex suit. Would anybody put on a spandex suit right now? Little spandex suit. And then, you get down like this. Push your mark. And you know what now set looks like? I have a spandex suit on. And then I run as fast as I can straight at you. With all my pieces in the spandex suit. And to practice doing that, I had to throw up 10 times in the 200s. So I'm all about fun, so I'm gonna go and be fun at track. But they thought I went to track practice drunk. Or that I was on drugs or something's off with her. I got that a lot. It's like, stop. Like, you're not even understanding or judging me. And I was like, because I am in less clothes, running and all, right, even the boys had to wear spandex suits. You think girls are bad. Watch that. And the hard thing was with starting blocks, someone's holding your starting block. So they are looking right inside your tracksuit. Like the yoga pants. And then there are people waiting at the finish line, so they're watching you run as fast as you can in a spandex, like long jump. I had sand in places. I think it's still in there. Sometimes I'm like, oh, sand. So we strive and respect diversity, right? So recognize that children and adults achieve more potential in the context of relationships that are based in trust and respect. So we're going to skip. I don't know if this is the one I'm supposed to have. This one. Hold on. I'm going to talk about trust. Wait for it. Right. So professional relationships, and then we're going to talk about trust a little bit. So parent meetings and conferences. So how do we go into those in a professional way with the mom and dad? What if they're divorced? Do we have separate ones? Do we have them together? How do we talk to the parents? That's really hard, because if you have a kid like me, so pretend you shrunk me and I'm in your class and I'm like, woo, and I've squirreled everywhere and run around. And you're thinking she probably has ADHD or should get checked out. Can you say that? No. You get one chance with some parents. You get a chance to say your son or daughter needs help. But if you say, I think your kid probably has ADHD, they should get diagnosed. You say that one time for me and I'd probably find another place to bring my kid. First of all, in public school, you can't say that. Really, you lose your job. It is not my job, it is not your job to diagnose kids. Right? Yeah. But how do we say it to parents? First of all, to say, I think we should have a meeting about your child's behavior. How many people want to go to that meeting? I don't even think when you say it, you want to go. Right? You know what, I've noticed some things in the classroom, and I'm wondering if I can talk to you about how to further help. I bet you have good ideas. Could we meet sometime? Or could we go to coffee? Or could you come in for breakfast? And we could talk about how to make Johnny the best he can be. That's how, yeah! I want Johnny to be the best he can be. What are you seeing? Because I'm probably seeing some of it too. And I'll probably tell you about it when I see it. Instead of, let's have a meeting about the behavior of your kid. Right, he's fine at home. That would be my natural reaction. Right? That's Charlie. What do you mean? And I've seen parents like make, right, they're kind of forced into making that conference appointment and then they cancel and then they make another one. What happens? They cancel and then they make another one. What happens? They can't. Right, they're just like, I'm not, right, they keep canceling it because they don't find us as professionals to know what's happening with their kids. Because all they heard is, I think your kid has ADHD, I think they should be evaluated, let's have a meeting about your child's behavior. Off. And sure enough, I still would to this day. I would PS, I'd probably say something and be like, now I have to change schools. Because I told the teacher where to start. So, evaluations. So, there's a lot of kids that have evaluations. If I was a little kid, you would probably send me home for an evaluation like, ooh, she has a hard time with attention span, with focus, with the power of the pause. She's having a hard time. But I don't need to be evaluated. I just need skills. That's our job. We meet skills and teach skills and meet needs. And then we have to do what? Use our two best friends of time and patience. Time and patience. If you're going to teach me skills and meet my needs, then you have to give me time and patience to learn the skills and know that my needs will always be met every time I ask. So talking to parents about a diagnosis, we talked about that. And the confidentiality piece is that we can't be talking to all of these other parents. Confidentiality is hard, especially when one kid bites another and you can't say what kid bit, except if they're old enough and they can talk. You know what kid bit anyway. Confidentiality is really hard. And I feel like in this field we're like not trying, because I know the temperament in this field, we're not trying to be like, yo, guess what? You're just trying to like make this parent feel better, but sometimes that's going over the confidentiality line. And sometimes we're trying to make this parent feel better and we're going over the confidentiality line, and we can't find the happy medium, because I'm trying to make them happy while they're here. And then I try to make them happy while they're here, and then we're like, oh, that's not good. So termination of the child and family confidentiality, I work a place in New Hampshire that stops that from happening. Because at 3, you shouldn't be thrown out of school. At 4, you shouldn't be thrown out of school. There are some kids that are hard and people don't know what to do with those hard kids. People who say we don't see that at home, don't see that at home, and then this is what I see. So it's me, the teachers, and the parents. The parents say, oh, we don't see that behavior at home, and you see this. That's what the teachers do. And the minute the parents leave, you know they're lying, right? I think but let's not call it lying, right? Let's figure out why they would say that. No parent wants to be like, hey, my kid's hard, and they're dumb, and they need an evaluation, and right? No, but nobody, right? You think you're going to give birth, and it's going to be the best of you and your husband, the best of you and your wife. It's going to be the best of all of you, and then you're like, oh, he has my energy, and I'm sorry, honey. Like, right? You're hoping. But when they don't see that at home, you're like, right, I'm working with a family right now that doesn't see it at home. Why? Because there's 2 parents and 1 kid. The kid is an awesome only child because he wants all the stuff to himself. And the parents are okay with delayed gratification, but they don't have to, he doesn't have to wait that long. It's only him. So he goes into a classroom with 15 kids, and what happens? He does not have the skills. He calls the kid dumbass. It's funny when you're 3. Someone took the sand out of his truck and he went, ah, dumbass. And I was like, I had to write that down in my notes. And I was like, yes. And the dad says it. And I was like, it's harder, way harder to undo than to do. So now you have to undo this. She's like, how? I was like, I can't say that. She was like, hey. It's hard, right? Especially when you don't think he's listening. And there is a certain point that you can swear in front of kids without them knowing what the words are. And I said, he's older now. He's 3.5-ish, so now he knows. Don't do that. what sort of professional relationship? Do you babysit for the families at home? So there are some centers that don't allow that. There are some centers that don't allow you to bring your kids to the center. And then there are some that let the teacher also be the parent of the kid. That, I can't, it's so hard. I don't even know how you get to professional relationship there. Because you're the mom and we're going to go to one center where there are 6 kids in this classroom, all 6 are hard. Well, there's more than 6, but 6 of them are hard, all 6 belong to a staff member. So how does that look? I'm friends with you during the day, and I get you coffee, and we hang out, we chill, we talk, but your kid's hard, and I'm the teacher. Now I have to tell you that, but you're also my friend. How does that even look? That's tricky, right? That's so tricky. And then what if you're the teacher and the parent? I don't know if that should be allowed. That one I have a hard time with because you never get a break. And in this field, we have the temperament that doesn't take care of ourselves. We think self-care is selfish.